how this particular frequencies are available, how many number of frequency bands are available, all those things are we have been discussed. What are all their frequency ranges, how they are being available, how they are being especially useful in different applications. That is, we discussed about the very high frequencies, their ranges, TV frequencies, their advantages and disadvantages, how they will be feasible for the mobility of the users, how they will not be feasible for the mobility of the users. We also discussed about the ultra high frequencies, that is GSM model, and digital electro communications for the cordless mobiles, and also the digital audio broadcasting. All these things are going to be also discussed. That is, what are all the ultra high frequencies, their frequency ranges, how they will be useful, what are their advantages, what are their disadvantages, how the higher bandwidth is being possible with this ultra high frequency ranges, when the correspond, how this GSM has been introduced, what is the purpose of the GSM. It is for the 2G generation. Again, the 3G has been introduced with the DECT, and again the digital audio broadcasting, which is implemented only in the European countries. Right. In that way, we've been discussing the two spectrums of the electromagnetic signals are the unguided media. And again, also discussed about the super frequencies, super high frequencies, extreme high frequencies, and infrared also. And coming to the devices which are going to be radiating or electromagnetic signals are nothing but the antennas. These are the ones which are going to be receiving the electrical signals which are being converted into the electromagnetic forms, and they will be radiating them into the air. And at the same time, at the receiver side also, there will be an antenna, and that particular antenna is going to be receiving the electromagnetic signal into itself, and it is going to be sending, or it is going to be dumped into your receiving point or a receiving communication device. And these particular antennas are being ranged from a single piece of wire to a large parabolic dishes. And among the antennas, we discussed about the lambda by 4 dipole antenna and lambda by 2 dipole antenna, and the directed transmission antennas also. The lambda by 4 dipole antenna is having the two poles for it in its structure in order to transmit the signal, whereas it is going to be transmitting its signal by dividing its wavelength by 4 times. It is going to be transmitting the signal by dividing its wavelength by 4 times. It is going to be transmitting in such a way that it is going to be covering the area of the antenna in this way. That is, it is going to be covering, if the antenna has been situated at a higher positions, then it is going to covering its area like this. That is, its radiation pattern will be like this. Okay, so what is the problem with 78? Please give me the thing in chat. 78 has been raised the hand. Is there any problem?
No, ma'am.
Who is 78? Then what is the need of raising hand? Unwantedly disturbing me, that's it. Okay. Right. So coming to the next one, that is lambda by 2 dipole antenna. And it is also having the two poles, whereas the signal that is being transmitted by this antenna will be divided by its wavelength by 2 halves. Whereas in the previous one, the wavelength will be divided into 4 parts, whereas here the wavelength of the signal will be divided by 2 parts. The signal will be divided by, signal wavelength will be divided by 2 parts, and it is going to be radiating the signals, electromagnetic signals into the air. And its radiation pattern will be like this. It is going to be covering the total area of the either side of the antenna. Total area either side of the antenna, beneath it and up above that particular antenna also. Right. Other than this, we are also having the directed transmission antennas. Directed transmission antennas, not only covering on either side, on that is without fulfilling the complete directions. Even though you are being transmitting either side of the antenna, we may not be covering the total area of it. But by introducing the direct transmission antennas, we can transmit the signal to a particular area perfectly. To a particular area, you are going to perfectly covering the area to transmit the signal to its maximum strength. So those antennas are called as directed transmission antennas, where their transmitting radiation pattern will be like this. They are going to be covering the area in this way. At that particular areas, their transmission strength will be maximum to the area where it has been fixed to. And if it is being technically adjusted, or if it is been arranged and designed in such a way that it can also cover the total 360 degrees of the particular area covered or surrounded by that particular antenna. If the antenna is situated in such a way and it has been designed in such a way, then it can also cover the total 360 degrees surrounded by that particular antenna. That is, it's going to be covering the total circle of that particular area. Not only in a single direction, you can also cover all the directions of that particular antenna to cover its maximum signal strength. Okay, that is about the antennas that we have to discuss, and we've been discussing these three categories. Right, and coming to the next one, that is the propagation of the signals. So you are going to be radiating these electromagnetic signals into the air. You are propagating the electromagnetic signals into the air using these antennas. So what could be the problems and what could be the perspectives and the properties that will be followed by a signal whenever they are traveling over the air? Whenever they are traveling over the air, what are all the properties and what are all the problems and what are all the things that have to be get encountered by the signal? So as our signal is a wireless signal, it is been propagating in air, it has to give the reliable wireless transmission until the target. So when the target receives the signal, it has to receive as it is the data actually that is being sent by the sender, by the source, whatever it is. So how this particular signal will not lose its energy while transmitting over the air. Whenever there is an obstruction, whenever there is an obstacle, whenever there is an air or air disturbance, how that particular signal will be get molded, how the propagation of the signal will be happen, how it is going to be. In the air, nothing but it will be easily moving there and here. It will be easily moving there and here. How it has to be get directed, how it has to be get instructed, how it has to be get protected, how its energy is to be get retained until it reaches the receivers or target device. It is being sent by the source antenna. It is being sent by the source device. Then it is being propagating through the air until it reaches the target. So how it has to route to the target? How it has to be guided through reaching the target? How its energy has to be preserved until it reaches the antenna? Why? Because here the antenna sizes are going to be varying. Our mobile antenna will be very less, and the network provider antenna will be very higher in height, and our receiving antenna will be also higher in height, and whereas the receiver mobile antenna will be again smaller in size. Then how this particular antenna height variations will be get coped up by the signal that is being transmitting. And again, it is going to be faced by many number of obstacles in between. It may be get obstructed with multi-storied buildings, which are very higher in height, and a larger height trees, mountains, lakes of hollow areas, and all these things are going to be passed through by the signal. Then how this particular signal is going to coping up with all these objects? Buildings will be there, trees will be there, lakes will be there, and normal air will be there, some polluted air will be there, vacuumed air will be there. Among the specific different layers of the atmosphere, the signal has to be transmitted through. Above the earth, immediately above the earth, and above the atmosphere, after the atmosphere, the signal has to be transmitted. So while going through this different media, the electromagnetic signal encounters many number of problems. And at the same time, it has to follow through different antenna heights. It has to follow through different antenna heights. So we'll go through the propagation properties of the signals. So while propagating, the distance comes into factor, the height of the antenna comes into factor, the areas through which the signal has been passed through the thing is being factor, and the time. How much of time the signal has been propagated, and on which areas the corresponding signal has been propagated, at which different heights it has been propagated through, where it has been landed and where it has been gone high again, how it has been transmitted in different hops between the source and the destination. All these are going to come into picture. While going through all these things, obviously the signal is going to be losing its energy whenever it is going to be landing over. Well, if it is going to be landing over tree, then it is going to be losing energy on that particular tree for some extent. Then it is going to moving up again. Again, it is going to be encountering some mountain. On the mountain, it is losing some energy. And after bombarding building, it is going to be losing some energy. So while reaching the destination, it is going to be losing the total energy of the signal. What about the data that has to be received by the receiver part? How it is to be get retained? So for that one, in order to overcome all these things, that is loss of energy and loss of the signal strength and loss of the properties of the signal, this particular losing of the signal properties or the signal strength or the data streams is called as signal attenuation. This is called as signal attenuation. How the signal attenuation is to be get avoided. How the signal attenuation is to be get avoided as it is freely moving in the air. That particular signal attenuation has to be get avoided by a property of propagation called as line of sight propagation. So what happens with this line of sight propagation, madam? This line of sight propagation is going to be avoiding the signal having the property of refraction, reflection, diffraction, and scattering. It is going to be avoiding the signal properties of refraction, diffraction, and scattering of the signal while moving all those objects what we are being discussed with. If these three can be avoided while traveling through source to the destination, then obviously the signal properties will be remain original until it reaches the destination. So what are these refraction, diffraction, scattering, madam? What are these refraction, diffraction, and scattering? See, as we already know that as the signal is being propagating for the much of the distance, that is larger the distance it is been propagating, obviously the signal strength will be decreasing for the square of the distance it is been traveling through. And at the same time, whenever it is going to be bombarding some surface area, the radiating power will be getting distributed over that particular areas, right? How it is going to be doing that? For example, according to the properties, according to the signal properties and line of sight or whatever it is, an FM band signal transmitter is having a frequency of 90 megahertz. An FM band signal transmitter, that is an antenna is having, that is transmitting the FM's frequencies, is having the frequency of 90 megahertz, whereas its wavelength is 3.3 meters. Its wavelength is 3.3 meters, right? So a signal is been transmitting from an antenna with 90 megahertz frequency and a wavelength of 3.3 meters. And it is going to facing the attenuation at an object of size 10 meters and above. It is going to be facing the attenuation with the objects of size 10 meters and above. And coming to the next transmitter, that is GSM transmitter of frequency 900 megahertz, whereas its wavelength is less than or equal to 33 centimeters. See, do you observe that FM band signal is a frequency of 90 megahertz, whereas its wavelength is 3.3 meters. Whereas GSM is having the higher frequency, that is 10 times more than the FM band signal, is having the wavelength of 33 centimeters. So here it is a clear picture that frequency and the wavelength are inversely proportional to each other. Then it is going to be facing the attenuation of the objects of greater than 1 meter itself. Whereas FM band signal can be holding its signal strength until it reaches the 10 meters of size of objects. Whereas GSM couldn't hold its energy, even it is going to be reaching only above the 1 meter size of the objects. So obviously whenever GSM signal bombards an object which is higher than the 1 meter, obviously its energy is going to be losing. So how this is going to be get overcome is because we are avoiding this diffraction, what is called as refraction, and also the scattering. So what are all these are things? Scattering is nothing but a GSM transmitter has been transmitting a signal which is to be reached the receiver straightly, but it is going to be transmitting through an object which is having a height which is very lesser or equal to the wavelength of our transmitter signal. So whenever it bombards an object whose height is very equal to the length of the wavelength of the corresponding transmitter signal length, obviously it's sorry. Okay. Obviously, its signal is going to be scattered in multiple directions instead of directly to the corresponding receiver. So while scattering in different directions, obviously it is going to losing its energy in these directions itself. So in a single direction, instead of a single direction, it is going to be scattering its energy in 5 more directions. So totally it's losing its energy in 6 directions instead of a single direction. So there is a scattering problem, right? And next one is diffraction. Whenever an edge of an object size is equal to less than the length of wavelength of the signal that is being propagated. See here, the edge of the object is here, which is very less than or equal to the wavelength of the signal that is being propagated and which is being get bombarded by that particular signal, then it is going to be get diffracted. That is, it's going to be disturbed or it is going to be bended to some other direction instead of reaching straightly to the object. Whenever it diffracts, that is whenever there is a change in height of direction of transmission. Already we discussed that there is a change in the height of the antennas that is being reached by a single signal, right from the mobile to the antenna, antenna to the mountain, mountain to the tree, and tree to the building, and building to the antenna again, antenna to the again mobile again. These much of height of differences it is going to be bombarding while traveling from source to the destination. So whenever that particular height reaches by the signal, obviously it is going to be bombarding and it is being diverting from that particular direction to reach another height. In that particular direction of traveling, obviously it loses the energy in that particular direction changing, right? In that previous case, scattering case, the energy is being distributed in different directions, multiple directions. Whereas in the diffraction, the signal will be changing its height of direction. Then obviously it is going to be losing the energy again. And another one is reflection. Here, if the wavelength of the signal is reaching an object, the signal is reaching an object whose height is larger than the wavelength of the signal that is being transmitted. In the previous two cases, we are discussing about equal or less than the wavelength. Whereas in the reflection case, if the object is larger than the corresponding wavelength of the transmitter signal, then it is going to be getting reflected. It is going to be getting reflected and taking a particular phase angle. That is, here it is going to taking a reflection of 120 degrees in changing its direction to reach the destination, in changing its direction to reach the destination. In that case also, it is going to losing the energy while moving over this broad object, which is very greater. In, for example, if the reflection is only below 60 degrees or 30 degrees, that is, if this angle of reflection is very lesser in case, that is the object is very smaller in size, obviously the reflection will be smaller in phase angle. Then obviously the energy lost at that particular angle of reflection will be very smaller, and the energy lost at that moment will be very smaller, and the signal will be reaching the destination with minimum loss of energy. Whereas here the reflection signal is very larger in size, obviously the signal is going to be parting over the object, whether it may be a building or in a mountain or a lake. That a particular signal is going to be parting over that particular object for a much of time. It's losing its energy at that particular object for a distant apart. After that, it is going to reach in the destination. So that here it is losing its energy much more on this reflection area. So whatever may be the signals that you are being transmitting in the free air without any guidance, that is unguided media is going to be radiating our electromagnetic signals in the air with all these properties. It could be as an obstacle for the signal energy. They are going to be losing the standard of the energy of the signal. So this could be avoided by the line of sight propagation, where the line of sight, where the signal is being propagated, that is the site of line will be taken, where the signal is being transmitted, that particular height of direction will be taken, and from there onwards the signal is going to be changing its direction, or it's changing its line of sight from height to height. It's going to be changing its line of sight of propagation from height to height. It won't take the direction, it will change the line of sight. In that manner, you are going to avoiding refraction, reflection, and at the same time, the scattering procedures also, right? See here, We are saying that see, here is a mobile and here is another mobile. This is the transmitting antenna and this is the receiving antenna. The signal has to be reach this particular antenna first, and again it has to travel through this air and reach the receiving antenna, and again it has to reach the corresponding mobile of the receiver. So while traveling through this distance, so instead of reaching these heights, that is variation in the heights, this is one of the height 1 and this is height 2 and this is height 3. We are assuming only these 3 heights, that is from mobile to the antenna, antenna to antenna, and again antenna to the mobile. Only 3 heights are being assumable by us. But in between of the transmission, there will be a lake, there will be a mountain, there will be a different heights of buildings, right? This is a lake, this is a mountain, this is building. The signal is going to be traveling like this. It's going to be taking the direction in this way, not as a straight as we are assuming. It is going to be bombarding different objects. It's been traveling through different areas and it's going to be touching different number of objects. While going through this, obviously it is going to be taking the losing of energy. So, but by using the line of sight propagation, what we are doing is, whenever an object transmits, that is, whenever an object transmits from an object of height so and so, for example, it has to travel through the lake, from the antenna to the lake. First, it will be transmitting to that particular height parallelly, and again from there onwards, it is going to be going downward. There, it will take an angle to the corresponding parallel path, that is straight path. Only here the reflection will be until 30 degrees. And then again it will be traveling in 180 degrees and again it will comes to mountain. Then mountain directions will be taken. Here only 30 degrees. Again buildings. Again the line of sight. Straightly, wherever the signal has to be, takes the directions or turns out the directions, or it is going to be changing the leaping of the directions or changing over the different objects. It will be changing its line of sight. It's going to be changing the line of sight, where you are going to see how our line of sight will be changing, whether you are looking downward or whether you are looking upward or you are being straight, going straight. So based upon that, the signal is going to be changing its direction of the phase, only taking a pertaining angle, a specific angle of direction. The signal is going to be propagating over all over the subject, all the objects, and it's been reaching the destination finally without any loss of the energy of the signal. But to avoid the minimum loss of energy at these directions of 30 degrees and 30 degrees and whatever may be the thing, there you are going to arranging the modulators to reboost the signal strength, where we lost this particular signal strength, percentage of the signal strength at this particular line of sight propagation of angles. At this line of sight propagation of angles, where we lost very negligible amount of energy, and that particular negligible amount of energy will be get retained by using the modulators. There comes our topic called as modulation. So that's why the signals or the unguided media transmission requires the modulation of the signals to retain the energy of the signal. How this line of sight propagation will be implemented? As we are speaking, as I have explained, it's been taking only a specific direction. It's going to be taking up the line of sight direction. It has been taking how it has been leaping through, whether it has been horizontal to the earth, whether it is vertical to the earth, or it has been inclined to the earth at a specific degree, so that it has been reduced only to the 30 degrees instead of 120 degrees or instead of 180 degrees. Instead of doing all these thing variations, we are being taking as a common value. How that particular common value will be taken as consideration in terms of various conventions to avoid the loss of energy and to increase the or to retain the energy of the signal until it reaches the destination. Until it reaches the destination, right? Now we'll move to the corresponding modulation concept of our subject, right? Right. So what is the modulation? The modulation is nothing but varying a signal called a carrier according to the pattern provided by a modulating signal or a message signal. A message signal will be there, which is to be actually streamed between a source and the destination. That is sent between the source and the destination. It is being embedded or superimposed. It is been embedded or superimposed on if another signal called as carrier. And that particular carrier signal will be varied according to the parameters of our actual modulating signal or actual data signal. And the process of varying the signal properties of the carrier signal according to the properties of the modulating signal is called as modulation. The process of varying or increasing or altering the properties of the carrier signal according to the pattern provided by the modulating signal or a message signal or the original signal is called as modulation. And this particular carrier usually will be an analog signal to match the properties of the actual original signal of our message. Here, what could be the patterns, ma'am? What are all the properties of a signal we could be considered? A signal will have a properties in common or in general or amplitude, frequency or phase angle. Amplitude, frequency or phase angle, right? So these three of the carrier signal has to be varied according to these three properties of the modulating signal. These three properties, that is amplitude, frequency, phase angle of a carrier wave, will be varied according to the amplitude, frequency or phase angle of the modulating wave or the message signal. Only any one of the characteristic of the signal will be varied. Depending upon the amplitude of the modulating wave, carrier wave will be varied. Either depending upon the frequency of the modulating wave, carrier wave will be varied. Or depending upon the phase angle of the modulating wave or the message signal, the phase angle of the carrier wave will be varied. Right? So this is about the modulation. So how this modulation will be done? See. For example, if a signal has been taken, that signal will be represented like this, S of t. The signal amplitude of the signal will be represented at an instant time t. That is represented as a convention of S of t here. This is represented as S of t, right? This S of t is given as S naught sine of 2 pi into c by lambda into t plus pi of t naught. A signal will be represented mathematically using an equation at a time instant t will be S of t is equal to S naught of or S naught into sine of 2 pi into c by lambda into t plus pi t naught. And it can also be replaced like this. S naught sine 2 pi into f into t, that is c by lambda. C by lambda is being replaced by f. F is equal to c by lambda. That is frequency is equal to corresponding velocity by wavelength. Frequency is equal to velocity by wavelength. So that c by lambda is equal to f into t plus pi by t naught. Sorry, pi into t naught. Whereas here S naught parameter has been defined as the peak amplitude. S naught is being defined as the peak amplitude. Amplitude is the maximum value of the signal or the maximum range of the signal. C parameter is there now. That is the velocity of the transmitted wave. With which velocity the wave is being transmitting. With which velocity the wave is being transmitting. That is represented using C. And pi t naught, the phase angle of the signal. The signal is going to be taking an angle. A signal is going to be taking an angle which is called as a phase angle at t is equal to 0. At a particular 0th interval, what sort of angle the signal is being taking. That is called as phase angle. Okay. And f is obviously the signal frequency. F is obviously the signal frequency. Frequency is nothing but number of cycles per a second. The signal taking how many number of cycles per a time unit or a second or a minute will be considered as the signal frequency. Here, I will tell you certain matters. I will explain you a signal property here, like how a signal could be represented as given in the equation. We'll see. What is these angles? What are all these things, right? Right. As you are going to mathematically representing a signal, we'll draw it on a timeline. Why? Because time parameter is also been given. For example, if you are taking a sinusoidal wave, that is sine wave, it will be like this, right? So a cycle of a signal will be up to this. This is a single cycle. A single cycle of a wave, right? This is peak amplitude S naught. This is also a peak amplitude, whereas minus S naught. This is positive side of the axis and this is negative side of the axis. So this is S naught, that is the positive side of the signal, and this is minus S naught, this is a negative S naught. That is negative side of the signal. Signal is being reaching its maximum value at this particular position in positive way. And signal is reaching its maximum value at this position in the negative side. So that the peak amplitude of the signal has been represented as S naught here and minus S naught has been represented here, right? And coming to the velocity, that is at how much speed per an interval of time, at how much speed per interval of time the wave is being transmitting. The wave is being transmitting. How it could be calculated? How it could be calculated? Where it is being given? F is equal to, F is equal to C by lambda. I think here symbol may not come. Lambda. I think everybody know about this. So C by lambda, right? Here. Right. C by lambda. That is frequency is equal to velocity by the wavelength. So that we will be calculating C by whom? How it has to be? Then C will be equal to, sorry, C be equal to F into lambda. That is, if the frequency is multiplied by its wavelength, if the frequency is multiplied by its wavelength, we will be getting the velocity or acceleration of that particular signal. Signal is having multiple cycles for it. This is one cycle and this is another cycle. Covering its positive and negative side, a complete positive and negative side of a single cycle or a single signal or a single pole will be called as a cycle of a signal. So, for example, for a certain interval of time, t, for a certain interval of time t, if the signal passes through two cycles, for example, if the t value is like this, here itself it has been ending. For an interval of time t, the signal is passing to two cycles. Then it is called its frequency. How many number of cycles are being passed through a particular interval of time gives you the frequency, right? T, F is equal to 1 by T. That is nothing but how many number of cycles per a signal is, for a time interval is nothing but the frequency of it. That is F. F is nothing but how many number of cycles. For example, if this frequency for an interval of time T will be called as 2 here. The frequency of the signal is 2 at a time interval of T. For a time interval of T, it is going to be passing through two cycles. It is going to be passing through two cycles. Its maximum amplitude is S0 and maximum amplitude is been varying from S0 to minus S0. And it is having a velocity of C is equal to F into lambda. What is lambda now? What is the wavelength? What is wavelength is nothing but what is the total area that is being covered by this a single cycle of a wave. Total area that is being lapsed by a particular interval of time at a particular interval of time by a single cycle of a frequency signal is called as the wavelength. Is called as wavelength. The maximum value of a signal is called as amplitude, and the maximum distance or the maximum path that is being lapsed by a signal per interval of time is called as lambda. And again, we can also derive here by lambda is equal to C by F. Lambda is equal to C by F. That is nothing but velocity by frequency. With how much of velocity, the frequency varies. That is nothing but lambda is equal to C by 5. So lambda is equal to C by 5. And what is the phase angle? What is the phase angle? How the angle of the signal is been changing here. How the angle of the signal is been changing at a particular interval of time. How much of variation or how much of molding it is been taking. That is denoted by phi there. Phi is nothing but the phase angle. For example, if the signal is been starting over at a 30 degrees of angle, it's been changing from negative side to the positive side. And here at a S0 of value at 180 degrees, it is been changing its phase again. It is going downwards. What is the phase angle of the signal at this position? 180 degrees. What is the phase angle of the signal at this time? 30 degrees. And again, while changing its direction into the negative side, again it will take 180 degrees. And at this particular position, it is of 90 degrees. It is of 90 degrees. Sorry, it is of 60 degrees. And at straight, it is 90 degrees. And at horizontal position, it is 180 degrees. In this way, the cycle lapsing, cycle variation, and cycle strength, frequency, and all those things will be clarified, right? So, I think I'm clear about what is a signal and the signal parameters, and the signal will be get represented using a equation. A signal at a time interval t has been represented by its peak amplitude multiplied by the total wavelength, phase angle, and also its velocity. All those parameters will be combinedly defines an equation for a signal. That particular signal is going to be varying its different direction. If the signal has to be transmitted over the air by converting its property from electrical to the electromagnetic, how it has been changing its signal properties. What is how the frequency is going to be changing, how the amplitude is changing, how the phase angle is being changing. So now we are aware about a signal is going to be having three properties, that it is having the maximum amplitude, it is having a certain frequency, and is also having certain wavelength, and is also having a phase angle. So if these three has to be get altered, if these three can be catched up while transmitting, whether they can be controlled, either any one of the parameter can be controlled over a carrier frequency along with our modulating frequency, we can retain our signal energy until it reaches the target without any deficiency in its data. Right? We'll discuss in detail about this particular data and all those things, that is signal and modulation properties, in the next class. And today or tomorrow, I'll give you some small quiz on the previous topics. Please do attend. And once again, I am announcing that everybody join in the Edmodo. There I have already shared the syllabus and also the material for mobile computing. Go through that for the topics that have been covered and attempt the quiz. I may post today or tomorrow. Please attempt through that particular quiz so that you'll not be get detached with the topic anymore. Will be get familiar with the topic. As you are already online, you are doing it, you can refer and you can answer the questions, right? So you can do that, and time is over, it's been running, it's time for next class. Please go through the previous topics and answer the quiz, and all of you join the Edmodo. There you will be having the quiz, and soon after completing the mobile communication fundamentals, I'll also give the assignment. Okay, right.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm leaving the session. Thank you. Ready for the next one.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.